Hello, I'm your storyteller. Which country are you from, and what time is it there right now? Before we begin, take a deep breath and gently close your eyes. Let the sound of the rain wash away the noise of the day. This story is made to bring peace to your heart and calmness to your mind. Now, let's drift together into a gentle, soothing tale. A gentle rain tapped against the leaves, each drop falling with a rhythm that sounded like nature's lullaby. Deep inside the green hills, where no city lights reached, stood an old wooden cabin wrapped in moss and thyme. The forest around it breathed slowly, as if it too was dreaming. Inside that cabin, a girl named Ilara lit a single candle. Its golden flame flickered softly, casting warm light on the wooden walls. She had come here for silence, for healing, for the kind of peace that only the rain and trees could offer. Ilara wasn't running away, she was simply pausing. Life had been too loud lately. Too many voices. Too many expectations. And now, finally, she had arrived at a place where even time seemed to exhale. Outside, the wind hummed through the tall pines, and Ilara sat by the window, watching raindrops trace slow paths down the glass. She held a cup of warm chamomile tea, its gentle steam rising like a quiet sigh. No phones, no clocks, just the sound of her own breath mixing with the forest's song. It felt like the whole world had softened. Ilara closed her eyes for a moment and let the steam from her tea warm her cheeks. Every breath she took seemed to reach deeper into her soul. The candle flickered again, casting slow-moving shadows that danced across the wooden floor like memories she had long forgotten. She leaned back into the creaky wooden chair, wrapped in a soft blanket that smelled of lavender and forest air. The cabin had been untouched for years, yet it welcomed her like an old friend. Every creak in the floor, every gust of wind brushing the windows whispered, "You are safe here." Rain continued to fall gently on the roof, a rhythm so soothing that her thoughts began to slow. She imagined each raindrop carrying away a worry, a fear, a tension stored deep in her shoulders. With each drop, her mind grew lighter. Outside, the forest glowed a soft blue-gray under the moonlight filtered through thick clouds. Fireflies blinked between the trees, their lights moving like tiny spirits weaving ancient magic into the air. In the corner of the cabin, there was an old bookshelf. Ilara stood up slowly, stretching her arms like a cat waking from sleep, and walked over to it. Her fingers ran over dusty spines of forgotten books, each title a promise of another world, another escape. One book caught her eye. It had no title, just a worn leather cover with a golden thread wrapped around it. She untied it carefully and opened to the first page. In elegant handwriting, it read, "To the soul who seeks stillness, this is your journey home." Her breath caught. She hadn't expected magic here, just silence, just rest. But this was something more. She turned the page. The next page was blank yet, somehow filled with meaning. Ilara touched it gently, and in an instant the rain outside grew softer, more melodic, as if responding to her thoughts. The warmth from the candle grew steadier, no longer flickering. Time itself seemed to pause in reverence. Suddenly, faint golden letters began to appear on the page, forming words before her eyes. Breathe. In stillness, you will hear your true self speak. She sat down with the book in her lap, heart beating slowly like a drum deep in a cave. She followed the instruction. A deep inhale, a slow, deliberate exhale, and then again. The world around her faded even more until all she could hear was her breath and the gentle patter of rain. Images started to form in her mind, memory from childhood running barefoot through a field after the rain, laughter echoing through trees. Another, her grandmother's hands braiding her hair, humming a lullaby that felt like safety wrapped in song. These weren't just memories. They were healing fragments returning to her, like puzzle pieces slipping back into place. She turned another page. This time, it read, "Let go what no longer serves you. Set it free into the rain." She whispered aloud, "I release the heaviness I carried today, the thoughts that tangled my peace, the fears that aren't mine to hold." With every word, she felt lighter. And outside the cabin, the forest listened. The trees seemed to bend gently toward her in stillness. The wind quieted, not to stop, but to give space for her voice. Even the fireflies moved slower, their tiny lights syncing with her breath. Suddenly, a gentle knock came at the door. Ilara turned, startled but unafraid. She stood slowly, walked toward the door, and opened it. No one was there. Only the night, and a folded note gently resting on the doorstep. She picked it up with trembling fingers, unfolded it slowly. It read, "You've begun the journey inward. Don't stop now. The most beautiful peace waits within." Ilara held the note against her chest. It was as if the forest itself had written those words, like nature was gently guiding her to find something she didn't even know she had lost. She stepped outside, barefoot, onto the wet wooden porch. The rain kissed her skin like tiny whispers, cool and soft. There was no fear in the darkness, only calm. The moon, veiled by soft clouds, gave the night a silvery glow. Fireflies hovered like floating lanterns, their rhythm matching the steady thump of her heart. She followed a narrow path that shimmered faintly under the rain one she had never seen before. It led into the woods, and with every step, the air seemed warmer, heavier with the scent of earth pine, and something faintly sweet like lavender or chamomile. The deeper she went, the quieter everything became. and then she found it. A small clearing glowing gently from within. In the center stood an ancient stone bench wrapped in ivy, with another candle already lit, and beside it a mirror. But this was no ordinary mirror. It shimmered like liquid, like starlight trapped in glass. She sat down slowly. The mirror didn't show her reflection, it showed her resting peacefully, eyes closed, surrounded by light. She watched herself serene and unburdened, as if the image was from a version of her that had finally let go of all worry. And then a voice not spoken, but felt inside her mind whispered, "She is you, not one day, not in time, but now. You are already this peace." A soft tear slid down her cheek, not of sorrow, but of release. For the first time in what felt like forever, Ilara felt whole. Not because of the magic in the forest, or the glowing mirror, or the candlelight, but because she finally paused long enough to hear the quiet truth within. The rain continued, steady and healing. Each drop seemed to say, "You are safe, you are calm, you are enough." She sat there in silence for what felt like hours or maybe minutes. Time didn't matter anymore, only stillness, only breath. Eventually, the candle beside the bench flickered once and went out, and Ilara knew the journey wasn't ending. It was just beginning. Ilara rose from the bench, her steps unhurried, her breath steady. The forest didn't feel like a place anymore, it felt like a part of her. Every leaf, every droplet, every whisper of wind carried the rhythm of her heartbeat. She was no longer searching, she was simply being. As she walked back toward the cottage, the rain began to lighten, as though the sky itself had exhaled. Above her, the clouds drifted apart just enough to reveal a soft glow from the moon, illuminating her path like a blessing from the heavens. The cottage welcomed her like an old friend, warm, glowing, safe. She lit a single candle inside and wrapped herself in a soft shawl. The windows fogged gently, framing the night like a dream. She made tea, something herbal and floral, the kind that feels like it knows your soul, and sat by the window with the cup in her hands. She didn't need music. She didn't need words. The rain was her lullaby, the silence her companion. And in that moment, Ilara realized something she had never understood before. Peace isn't found by escaping the world. It's found by returning to yourself. She closed her eyes, letting the sound of the rain guide her inward. Her mind wandered gently to memories that no longer hurt, to hopes that no longer felt rushed, to dreams that didn't demand answers. Only presence, only breath, only now. As she drifted, she heard the wind wrap softly around the walls of the cottage, like a mother tucking in her child, and she smiled. She didn't need to understand everything. She just needed to rest, and so she did, with the rain as her blanket and stillness as her pillow.